find a field to play on, nor would the city of Norwalk Parks and Rec Department give them a field to play on. So I had to contact the Housing Authority, and they allowed them to use the field behind Colonial Village. They did a remarkable job fixing it up by themselves. And they met obstacles here in the city of Norwalk trying to find a field on which to play.
Well, you have a limited amount of fields. You have a lot of teams who want to play, especially with the advent of more women's sports. But as I mentioned before, if you like to check the capital budget moving forward, we have millions of dollars proposed and will be approved. Some have already been approved for two new fields near Merrimack and Nathan Hale. They will be, synthetic turf, and that will provide more recreational facilities with less maintenance, and we won't have to worry about the dust.
The next question is directed to Mr. Moccia. What does, quote, fully fund, unquote, the Department of Education mean to you?
That's a term that's used quite a bit. You know, when you say fully fund, the Board of Education year after year comes in with a request that is sometimes as high as 9 or 10%. And then being responsible, having to balance, boards of estimate have to deal with that. And there have been some cuts to that request, not cuts to the budget. My definition is, fully funded is, if they receive an increase over their previous year, based on what the taxpayers and the Board of Estimate and the Common Council and their cap said, that's funding the Board of Ed. We give 60% of our budget counting capital costs to the Board of Ed. For years we were saying there were mistakes made up there in how they spent money. And for years we were said, it's not true, you're anti-education, you're just saying that because you don't want to give us money. And then lo and behold, thanks to the efforts of the Finance Department, Mr. Hamilton, our Board of Ed people, and some of the new people they brought into the Board of Ed, they found that there were horrific spending patterns, silos of spending that one department didn't know what the other department was doing, short-circuiting the health account. I didn't cause the $4 million shortage in their health. They didn't fund it, and somehow it's being turned around that the city caused that problem. We found it. So we will do our best to, quote, fully fund education. But we have spent over the last 12 years close to $220 million in school renovations. We're currently in the process of renovating Rowayton School, Merrimack School. All of the middle schools have been renovated and tried to be brought up. So we spent a lot of money on education. No matter how much we spend, there are some that are going to say it's never enough.
Mr. Rilling?
Fully funded to me means bringing the stakeholders together, putting together a reasonable budget, determining how we can give our children the best education possible, then spending the money in the right places, rather than just spending money irresponsibly, figuring out where the money can be best utilized. Fully funded means, again, trying to find the best possible budget that we can put together, reasonable, and then bringing it to the Board of Estimate and Taxation, and getting the money and giving it to the city, giving it to the Board of Education. We have to make sure that our children get an education. We need to make sure that people want to move back to Norwalk so they can send their children to our schools, so that the people that live in Norwalk stop sending people to private schools. We have a wonderful, wonderful school system with wonderfully dedicated teachers. Unfortunately, they never have a seat at the table to start talking about the things that they need. Decisions are made by people outside of the people in the classroom. And those are the people that really know what we need and should be brought to the table with their ideas and information. I'm not saying to just give money away. I'm saying to make sure that we give money that can be spent in the right place. But one of the most important things that we can do in this city is to give our children an education. Nothing is a higher priority.
Mr. Moccia?
You're telling me Bruce Million's not been at the table? I doubt that. I think he's been very much at the table. Look, education is, it's a cliche to say it's our futures. Of course, we all know that. Our young kids are our most precious commodity, whether it's kids, grandkids. But I refer to Connecticut Magazine, #2 city in the state, but #1 among the cities in education. Higher graduation rate than even Stanford and Danbury. So we must be doing something right. Everybody had to pitch in during the hard times for the budget. People had to make sacrifices. And some of the people in Board of Ed or in the education community said, you know what? The people have to pay more. They have to pay more taxes. They don't like it, that's too bad. Well, that's easy for them to say because they don't live in Norwalk. So I'll stand by what we've done with the Board of Ed. And by the way, they have unlimited spending powers. I can't control how they spend the money. That's by state law.
Mr. Rilling?
Well, apparently, a lot of people don't read Connecticut Magazine because we have too many people that are talking that our Board of Education is not properly funded. They're saying that our Board of Education is, or our school system is dysfunctional, and they're moving out of the city of Norwalk where they're sending their children to private schools. Now, again, I'm not saying that we need to spend money irresponsibly, but we need to do everything we can to make sure that our children are getting the proper education. And if people are moving out of the city of Norwalk or sending their children to private schools, then obviously they don't believe they are. I think we have wonderfully dedicated teachers. I've met with many of the teachers. When I say bringing them to the table, I'm talking about getting their ideas. They're the people in the classroom that directly impact on our children's education. Getting their ideas. They're not irresponsible. They're not looking to be overly funded. They're just looking for the amount of money necessary to do their job.
The next question will be directed